Come on, you're supposed to be harsh to us. Yeah. What can we do
This
better?
is rubbish.
Greetings from me, you're listening to WromComms, the podcast sharing the joy of sim racing and motorsports made by the WromComms team. Welcome, thanks for stopping by. I am Serta and I will be the host today. As you can see, we have a wonderful guest which we are very happy to welcome. Hi Tom, how are you?
I'm really good. A pleasure to be here. Great YouTube channel. Keep up the great work and congratulations on the recent 10k subs milestone.
Yay, thank you. So
you can't be doing that while you're on camera. Come on, you're supposed to be harsh to us. Yeah. What can we do
this
better?
Is rubbish.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah. Subscribe to Traxion instead.
So, on this month's episode of WromComms, we have Winter is Coming, and so is the Sim Racing Expo, the biggest yet.
AMS2 might be getting its biggest update yet, but it's Racer, so who knows?
Assetto Corsa Evo gets a trailer and a leak.
And we'll also be discussing what the future may or may not hold for Le Mans Ultimate.
All right. So, let's start with Automobilista 2.
First off,
go ahead.
Before we dive
Cody.
in, I must interrupt. I want to say it feels like we're a small local paper and the anchor of like the national news just walked in.
It's not like that at all.
First of all, genuine, after what I said just now, genuine welcome to Thomas Harrison Lord.
Full name, I must be in trouble.
No, not at all. Yeah. That I gave you earlier. Face of Traxion, most prominent and prolific reporter on so many different things during the early days of Traxion, when how many actual news organizations or proper reporters were there that had the reach and the traction, ironically, of Traxion GG at the time. We met each other in person in a arguably difficult time.
I was working somewhere else then.
Yeah.
Yes, no, absolutely. And now the phoenix rises from the ashes and is even more prolific and arguably better than it was even under the MSG banner.
Well, thank you. Very, very kind words. But I must interject and say, it's a team effort.
Of course.
There's 4 or 5 of us working really, really hard to make it work again. And
absolutely.
Where we serve the sim racing and racing game community, so we try and cover everything, which is almost impossible sometimes. But love it. We love it. That's the main thing, like you guys do. And so without outlets like RomRon or Traxion or some others, I think the space would be a poorer place. So we all need to club together and see what happens. And I think next year will be exciting as well.
Next year's going to be fantastic. I'm very, very excited about so many things about coming next year.
Yeah,
but speaking of next year, AMS2 might have a 1.6 update by then. Maybe.
Who knows?
Well, it's the way that Razer seem to be. I mean, at least they're communicating with their community, right? But the beta program has come to a close. That's happened in the past few weeks.
The
Simeone?
beta program has not come to
Renato.
No.
Sorry.
As in their focus on the 1.6 version of the beta has come to a close. They aren't doing that beta testing anymore. So that's come to a close. Razer are saying soon TM, but they've been saying soon TM for God knows how long.
Well, they adhere to the religion of it's ready when it's ready, which I accept. It's like with Assetto Corsa Evo.
Yes, and
what do you think the holdup is?
Come again?
Do you know what they're promising in 1.6?
I was saying, what do you think the holdup is? the not delay per se, but what
the physics are. I have a good contact to the developers, to a couple of them, and the physics are ready. The physics were horrible to update, but they say they are ready, and they don't expect to be touching the physics anymore, even for a 1.7. If anything, to do some brushes. But they are as far as they can take physics in a sim for a PC. So multiplayer has been a pain in the lower region for them. They have expanded.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Obviously, they're doing some substantial changes to sort of the back end and the underlying code for multiplayer, right? But they're not necessarily building a new system in terms of ranking themselves. It's more to help third parties, right?
Well, they are building a new system because the multiplayer of the Madness engine, pardon my French, was crap, an utter crap. And that's something that we know already from Project Cars times, but it was still so they had to dig a lot. And from what I'm getting, and they have expanded the slots in some of the tracks, and they expect to do it for all of the tracks to 48, which based on the Madness engine was very difficult to do. So that's what I'm hearing was the most holdup, was doing that and the multiplayer, because they have been trying to get it right. They are doing a lot of experimentation and beta testing with Just Race to see that Automobilista 2 works well with the server, and forgets more and more the peer-to-peer that the Madness engine was using. And they have been working hand in hand with Just Race and a couple of others. So as far as I know, that is the main holdup there. There may be other things, but that's the information that I have. But it should not be that much of a holdup anymore, he said, knowing that it's Reza, as Ike said.
Well, yesterday, Renato Simeone put out a post on the Reza forums saying essentially the developers are having a week's break, which is understandable, totally understandable. Like, imagine trying to pull apart Project Cars 2 code, which is 2013 game? 2011? Oh,
2015, I think it came out.
Really?
No, that was Project Cars 1. Project Cars 2 was 2017.
17, there we go. So imagine pulling apart what is now 5-7-year-old game and trying to make some kind of proper netcode out of it. And again, Project Cars 2 was not the best as far as netcode was concerned, but outside of that, probably one of the best all-rounders as far as the sim was concerned. Was the thing that got me into sim racing, or got me into sim racing properly. I then discovered R-Factor 2.
Yeah, but I think the Project don't want to go down too much down this tangential avenue, but Project Cars is so important for sim racing.
Yes.
Whether you like it or hate it, like so many people got into sim racing, on a PlayStation or an Xbox with this game that was kind of authentic enough. Yep. And then it blossomed from there, and I think it's really important that something like that still exists, and I'm not really seeing it at the minute, but I'm hoping Project Motor Racing is that thing, Even if we might come back, who knows what it's going to be like.
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
Yeah. But to AMS, again, to Razor's credit, they are waiting until it's done properly. They're waiting, and they're giving it as much time. It's frustrating to not have timescales. It is frustrating because, as well, a lot of people will start attaching dates to releases that Razor haven't said, and then that propagates, and people get excited, and then people get disappointed. It's we'll probably mention this a few times during this podcast, but this one specifically, but it's about expectation management, and it feels as though because Razor don't quite know when their solution will be sorted, they can't tell us, and so the rumors fly, and that's what
there was also these very these much maligned stream from Overtake
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
They've pulled off.
Oh, yeah.
They've made invisible again because it
it's
was
still unlisted
not very
if you know the link.
Oh, is it?
exactly,
Cool.
exactly. So yeah, they've yeah.
Far be it for me to lambast
We
that.
went. Yeah.
I just want to
yeah.
say some things about that. Sorry, sir, after you.
No, go ahead.
I feel really bad for Yannick Holstein,
Mm.
who was doing the stream, because I did see some comments, especially in the developers forum. There's pages of it, and if I was him, I'd be, quite frustrated there, because some of the comments about his driving standard, and this person clearly doesn't play the game. I know for a fact that he plays it basically every single day.
Yeah.
So people can be so critical sometimes when they didn't get the access themselves, or it was. There were some other issues with it, but I just want to, in the defense of Overtake and Yannick there, I think they did an amazing job considering the setup that they had.
Yeah.
And also, Yannick and the team there have such a great relationship. Like, I'm sure he badgered them for the access, and they entrusted him with it, because I do think he does know about that simulation. But on that point, anyway, do you not think it's interesting how there's clearly the Lamborghinis there, but they've not acknowledged that officially? And
Yeah.
Mm.
Was it Motorsport was in the stream as well, right? Which hasn't been
Motorsport was
acknowledged
there as
officially.
well.
Yeah.
believe
So
so, yeah.
for those
So-
who have
So could it be a licensing thing?
Yeah, for
why it's
those who
late.
have for those who have a more direct line to Reza, yes, Lamborghini, yes, Motorsport, yes, Sebring, and so on and so forth. These are going to be part of like Sebring, Motorsport, and so on are going to be part of the DLC of the USA. I think it's part 3 DLC already.
Yeah, there's 2 packs, isn't there? Yeah.
And the Lamborghini was something that some of us already knew. So yeah, I mean, that's what I was going for when I was talking about the stream. They have most of it ready, so they may just be polishing the paint on that and finishing some dotting some I's and striking some T's before they release it.
Sure.
And maybe, but I'm not promising anything, and I cannot promise because I don't have any information about that, but maybe it's the news next week. Who knows?
Well, we'll see. Yeah, maybe it's already been announced before this podcast is released.
Exactly. So what is going to be very interesting, and we've talked about that in our news, is the physics of how the tires react, how the tires work with the body. And I learned a new word, the hysteresis of all that, how tires change with heat, and how that has to do with the physics. So
Hysteresis.
well, it's a Greek word, so it's hysteresis.
Yeah. Okay.
So and I'm pretty sure if any Greek people are watching the podcast, they're gonna comment, oh yeah, it's the right pronunciation.
I had to say it because all of the English people who watch are going to say you did it wrong.
True that. Again, the interesting thing is they have put so much energy and time in those physics. They say, I haven't touched the beta because I had too much other things to do, but they say it's once again, like it was with the 1.5 and it was with the 1.4, once again an incredible change on how the cars feel and how the cars change their feeling when you're driving. So it's gonna be interesting to see if after all that waiting, it's gonna be keeping that promise.
Yeah, that is exactly what it is. The thing is that the biggest, most important part of this of 1.6 to me is the online. I don't know, like when I was testing the Camus wheelbase that they sent. Like the first thing that I did was jump in a front wheel drive car on AMS2, because I know the physics, I know how a front-wheel drive car should handle, I know if the Camus was going to do it properly, and AMS2 is, well, ISI seems to be the only physics engine that seems to do front-wheel drive properly, as far as I've played. Not done iRacing yet.
BeamNG.
Need more money for that. And BeamNG, yeah. But BeamNG tries to kill your wrists. I wanted to start off somewhat sensibly.
It tries to kill you, and it tries to kill your wrists.
Yes, yeah. I've got a G27 wheel back there somewhere that I modified because there's no way how I was going to try and attempt to play BeamNG with a GT wheel. That would actually be deadly. But as you said, Serta, the physics was never really in question. The big concern and question, as far as 1.6 for me is concerned, is what have they done with the netcode and the stability? Because 28 players max from AMS2 CC last year is not enough.
They're going 48.
Yes, but will it be able to do 48? Because technically speaking, a Project Cars 2 lobby can do more than 28 players. Technically, you lose half of them between sessions, disconnecting. So it's not. That's a very. I don't quite know how to word it, but saying you can do 48 players doesn't mean that everyone will stay into the race. And that's
why they've done all these tests with Just Race and other server-based multiplayer systems, so that they get as near as possible to fulfilling that promise. I think as Tom was asking, what's the holdup? I think that is the holdup. That
probably
for once they want to get the frigging multiplayer so that nobody can protest too loud anymore, because it's been a clamor also in their secluded spaces, is something that a lot of people were putting through, and they themselves ended up putting a lot of energy into that.
I just think it's interesting to note that there are now 2 sims with the Raging Bulls formally announced, and neither of them have release dates.
Yeah,
and I think licensing is a very tricky thing, and it's harder than ever. And I'll be writing an article about this at some point soon. Not
cool
specific examples, but the cost and the complications and everything has really ramped up for developers at the minute.
On the other hand, what Simeone has said is that since they started their partnership with IMSA,
that would help.
They got a lot of doors opened for them because of that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's a great thing. But it's no guarantee per se. No, and I'm not speaking to them specifically, but certain championships in the contract in the real world of teams joining will have a clause that says, if you join, then your car will be licensed to a certain game. Oh, yeah, right. Some are not like that. Some are like, well, we've got a thing, but it's open, and then you have to make your own arrangements. So it's for Renato to speak on, I'm sure, not me, and I'd love to know at some point further down the line, even though these things are legally contentious, what the arrangement is. But certainly getting the IMSA deal is a huge thing for Automobilista too, and it's going to deliver some fantastic content, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. It was really interesting. Yeah. God damn it! I'm now thinking of Sebring. Sim racing was in a really interesting place, say 5-10 years ago, because none of the real world manufacturers saw the appeal. No one saw the point, as far as manufacturers are concerned. And now we've got massive multinational, multi-million-dollar deals being done with iRacing, with AMS. I mean, hell, MSG bought WEC, BTCC, and NASCAR. Indycar, that was it.
And we know how that turned out.
We ignore everything else. Ignore all of that. But the point was that in the past 3 years, sim racing has gone from we don't really care about this to this is actually really important, and we need to have representation in these markets. Like Porsche was the last holdout. Seeing Porsche in a Gran Turismo game was mind-blowing in whichever Gran Turismo it was. And
well,
now it's just
that
normal.
was specifically something a little different. I would say naively struck a like 15-year licensing deal with EA whenever they did Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed, and so then whenever like racing games elevated as a genre in the coming decade, it was still EA who were the only ones who could put a Porsche in their game up until I think 2014 or 15.
And by the way, where we are seeing also that connection is in the hardware. Cube controls, and one important thing, we had it in the news a couple of weeks ago, SimRep are gonna be building the real life IndyCar wheel for Chip Ganassi, and then they're gonna do a sim racing version of that. And kudos to them to getting that, because we know that they are a small Netherlands engineering company, and through their engineering they've won that contract. So but one thing that you were talking about Le Mans Ultimate, or MSG, and let's move to that point, shall we? Because Tom was talking in the intro about the future of Le Mans Ultimate.
Yeah, it's uncertain at the time of recording. We don't know. No, it's been a really tricky week. I wish everybody there at Motorsport Games and Studio 397 well. We know now that it's about 38% of the workforce was made redundant and lost their jobs just a day or two ago.
Again.
Yes, not uncommon. But I think in the past, and I think it's clear to make this point, that there is a perception out there, rightly or wrongly, and actually I don't think it's a bad thing that people think this, that all these redundancies are from Motorsport Games, and Studio 397 is a separate thing, and but they're really one and the same these days. And this is people developing the game, it's people trying to market the game to get more sales, it's people testing the game to make sure it's got fewer bugs. Multitude of roles that are key to a title, and obviously it's a shame, but also on the flip side to that is, if the numbers are adding up, right? And tough decisions have to be made to keep the company going. So it's a rock and a hard place for everybody involved and for everybody covering the story. But Traxion got word, maybe, let's say, as things were happening. And then, as we're recording late last night, there was the formal sort of press release and SEC filing that confirmed it all, and also confirmed that they're open to new owners or mergers if possible, which I take, in my opinion, legally speaking, as just the company's up for sale.
Yeah, I'm so.
But haven't they been
has
saying
been for a while
that in their SEC filings for since Stephen Hood came into that they are looking for other ways to get more money, and between the lines you were always reading a plea for buy us, please.
But now it's now outwardly that it's a change of tone. They've always said we're going to assess our options, right, or something like this, right? And that's been like that for even maybe before Stephen Hood returned, right? And it always ended with every earnings report, pretty much over the past 2-3 years, ended with the company doesn't necessarily has the funds to retain as a going concern. And then ever so often someone will pick up on it and go, "Oh, they're going bankrupt." And I'm thinking, they've said that for 2 years. Yeah, so
exactly.
But now it's a definite shift, right? It's a definite shift to be openly out there, to issue a press release specifically, as opposed to burying it in the SEC filings, to say that we're looking for new owners or a merger, and then specifically to say in that they've got was it a growing number of inquiries? I think the word as in to say negotiations are already underway with different people.
Well, if Stephen Hood reacts to those as he reacted to my inquiry into buying Traxion, then I never got an answer.
Oh well, I don't know about that, so I can't
yeah.
comment
You
on how
don't.
that.
Of
how that
course you
happened.
don't. I
But-
sent a mail to him and said, let's talk about it, and never got an answer, even to my
see.
subsequent mail saying, hello, did you get my message? So
I see.
in
Oh
any
well,
case.
well, thank you for offering to save us. But, yeah.
Well, the thing is,
what I
the
would say
thing
is he's got a lot of things on his plate.
Yeah, sure.
The thing is that with the Traxion and MSG connection that was there,
Yep.
the value of this was the thing that we discussed. I don't know if you would watch that one, but the value of Traxion was never in question as far as we were concerned. Like there was no
It was the
there was
cash
never-
the cash flow.
Yeah,
No,
of
yeah.
course.
There was never a point where having a publicity arm of specialist trained people who were, I mean, you had to disclose the MSG connection, but at the same time, good grief, you could present anything that R Factor 2 or LMU ever came out with so much better than anyone else within MSG.
Thank you.
You were worth having, and again, the quality of the
Yeah.
work that you put out even then was top notch. So
Thanks.
it was puzzling to us why of all
Yep.
the people
Well,
of all
it
the
was
things
not.
to get rid
It
of.
was not, because Traxion had a negative cash flow because it was thought as part of the PR, of course, and the first thing that you do when you get back into the saddle of a company is to get rid of everything that has negative cash flow, and then you get rid of everything that it's costing you too much, even if it has positive cash flow, because you are trying to survive. And I think what Stephen Hood has done now is the DLCs did not sell as well as they expected, because even if they said, hey, 13% of the users are buying the DLCs, I said, yeah, 87% of the users are not buying DLCs. So I think that this change in tone and this new new action of getting rid of people is because they expected sales of the DLCs to be much better than they were, and they were not. And they released the second DLC, what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure that the numbers didn't add up. The numbers already did not add up well for the first DLC and the season pass, and I'm pretty sure that they looked at the numbers of the second DLC and said, crap, we have to even reduce more costs.
That's your opinion.
Of course.
That's an opinion.
Of course.
I'm curious to hear
I
yours,
don't
Thomas,
disagree with
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, there's a load going on there, and there was many different points raised in that what you just said there. I just want to quickly rewind and say that I'm forever grateful for Motorsport Games for hiring me and the team and creating Traxion, and ultimately, due to many reasons, it was never fulfilled its potential, let's say.
Yeah.
And I do not bemoan the decision to end it there because, as you said, it was crisis times, and it still is.
Yeah.
It does surprise me from the outside looking in that I do believe, the Le Mans Ultimate launch in the state it's in early access, only on PC, I think you're only ever going to get a niche audience anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the R Factor 2 user base was huge, right? There are far bigger sims out there already. Yeah. And in some respects, the game is quite esoteric. And initially, especially when it launched, it kind of, okay, it's got the license, but the quirks that you had to put up with to get it working properly were very much like R Factor 2. And that could be off-putting. That's just my theory. Now, I do think that the rate of progress since has been rather impressive, actually, considering the challenges that they're up against. And I think, when the new DLC came out, and myself, John Monroe and Ross McGregor, we were trying the co-op mode. We were given access to that to if we wanted to make content or not.
Yeah.
And we'd all three of us not played Le Mans Ultimate for a few weeks or months, We'd laid off it for a while, and to go back, and even with the co-op mode being slightly strange, great potential by the way. It was just like, oh, this game drives so well. I know you guys are all really on the Automobilista 2 train. And I think it's fantastic as well.
No, I'm with you.
But
I'm with you.
Really,
Yeah,
you should all play some Le Mans Ultimate more, especially now because the features uncertain.
It feels great.
Put some more time
That's
into it.
something that I've been saying for a long time. It feels as good as R Factor 2 feels, and for me, R Factor 2 is on par with Automobilista 2. Like it's one of the sims that I really like to drive for the feel, the way until you get on track. It takes a little bit long, although MSG have had reduced that and done and perfected the user experience. And Le Mans Ultimate feels great. I've had a lot of fun driving that the couple of times that I took the time to test it. So for the driving feeling, LMU in my opinion is great.
And I have an update on my end of things for Le Mans Ultimate as well. Previously, I had tested and reviewed it for the channel, and if you saw that, it didn't go so hot. It barely ran, and I've got a pretty decent system over here that can run every other simulator. So I made my review, gave my thoughts on it, and even did a follow-up a little bit later on where I was testing it again and kind of figured not a whole lot has changed. I'm not even going to bother. And I uninstalled, went about my day and month and several months, and I actually reinstalled it recently, and it's working fine now. So that's good.
Good.
Out of the box. So I have been driving it a little bit. I have enjoyed my time. Haven't gotten any of the DLCs, which along with most people.
You're part of the problem, Cody. That's what it is.
No. You guys have made some very, very valid points over recent weeks and months about the pricing policy. But I don't want to interject with that just yet because I know that's a bit of a rant. But
well, they have Circuit of the Americas now with the most recent update, and so if there's anything that's going to push me over the edge and have me get it, it's probably going to be that. And,
as we heard last month,
I'm
you drove there.
Yeah, cool. I got to do a parade lap, so I wasn't like driving in anger, but I got to take my mom's Porsche Boxster, 2001 Porsche Boxster S that I'm dailying right now while I fix my actual daily, and it was really cool. I got to drive a Porsche at Circuit of the Americas, which was awesome. But yeah, anyways, go watch the previous podcast for that. But Le Mans Ultimate, as it's getting more complete in terms of content for this year, it's looking a little bit more attractive to me. But then, next year's going to roll around and everyone's going to be looking for like new stuff, So the pace of things is a little interesting. Obviously they have their reasons.
Luckily for them, there's no new tracks on the calendar next year.
No.
So they can focus on.
That's true.
Once the LMGT3 class is complete, I mean, we don't know for sure, but I don't suspect there are actually any all new teams joining for next year either. So there'll be evolutions of cars that they'd have to work on, right? And liveries and driver names and things like this. And that does take time. I don't want to denigrate that task. But once you've got the 2024 season cars and tracks complete, it should be less of an effort next year to be quicker with the 2025 season content. That's my theory.
If they exist that long.
Yeah.
Yes, so just on that point, it's all very negative, isn't it, at the minute? And it feels really bad. And the traction stories are bad. No, I don't necessarily. Well, yeah, sure, but I just want to say they're not dead yet, right?
No.
Yeah. And here's my thinking with this is, in November of last year, the company issued a statement where it was like, we're evaluating the IndyCar game, right? And then, shortly after that, I can't remember the exact timeline, it was cancelled.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I believe that the reason that the initial statement was was put out there was to maybe entice potential buyers that they were having conversations with, maybe potentially, who knows, right?
Yeah.
And my feeling, outside in, don't have any inside knowledge at all, just a subjective opinion.
Yeah, don't worry. We
This
call this
announcement
podcast also the speculation zone. So go ahead.
Yeah, speculation zone. Yeah, do we have a special hat for that? Anyway,
We always have that on.
Yeah, no, I think this is because, and from what we've heard, and I did put one line in our Traxion article to allude to that anyway. This is to try and maybe spur on conversations that are happening already and maybe taking too long, right? To put it out there and say, well, now the world knows now that we're for sale, so that other people could interact and put forward their offers or their mergers or their strategic partnerships. And let's hope, in my opinion, something is resolved sooner or later, because you need people to make the game, and they need the game to make money.
Yeah.
So it's a very tricky scenario. Yeah.
The question is, who would be interested in buying a company whose only license is WEC? I mean, don't get me wrong. The code of LMU and R Factor 2, which are quite similar, that code is great, but that code is on par with other simulations there, and is not like you need that code to be able to raise. So looking if I'm an investor, I say, okay, what can you produce? And we have the license for WEC. Okay, and the other licenses, no, we had to sell them, or we could not fulfill them, or whatever. So at the end of the day, the only active license that they have, as far as I know, is WEC, because the BTCC license, they settled out of court. They don't have it exclusively. They have it.
Yeah, they still have it, but it's not exclusive. Yeah.
I suppose in a way, so that WTCC didn't get all their money, but only part, or whatever the deal out of court was. So who would want to buy a simulation in the sim racing world that only has a WEC license?
I don't think it's just licenses. I do think their tire model is some proprietary tech that is very, like, I know you're saying there that there are some, in your opinion, that are up there, but it's a genre leader in many respects.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to start from scratch with that would take a lot of time, and you don't know. I mean, we saw I don't want to go back into it too much, but the alleged controversy with WromComms, right? And then look at that though, right? They've gone, it's on record to me on a previous Traxion podcast. I asked, the tire model, is it yours entirely? Yes. So you've made it from scratch?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Where's it come from? Physics books. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now it transpires that's not the case. Now, maybe it was the case, maybe it will be the case in the future, but certainly they've made a decision at some point and allegedly licensed some tech, right? And I also think
they do have the license from ISI. As far as I remember, I looked into it. ISI says that they have licensed that to.
This is
to,
for
to
a tangent for another time. But
Yes.
right, they have a license for some technology, correct?
Yeah.
But you said completely right. They said at that time that they were doing everything themselves, and then they encountered
several times
the issues that every company every programmer will encounter. That, damn, those physics are difficult. Let's buy those, and that's
exactly. So and also it's the people that would know how to get the best out of it. I suspect.
Yeah.
I think that's what you would invest in. So there is the license. You're right. And then there's also the venerated Studio 397, which I must sadly have to caveat with what's left of it after today's news. But there's that. And then also, and it's been publicly spoken about before, they have ideas for other projects that aren't necessarily licensed WEC Le Mans game. And I don't know what state that might be, or whatever, but I would suspect that if you were a potential investor, you would be told about that.
Yeah, I still think the biggest mistake that MSG made when they bought S397 is they didn't bring out R Factor 3.
Yeah, so that was one of the plans, and it was cancelled again. There's a
no, absolutely
Traxion article about that.
I know. Yeah, but the thing
sorry,
is,
it's turned into an advert, isn't it? Sorry.
you're allowed to. I'm surprised you don't have a traction top on.
Some new ones in the works.
I was going to say they've got to exist. They have to exist.
Yeah. We'll see. You'll see some at the expo. Yeah, all good.
Excellent. Carry a spare. Medium, please.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we'll have some. We'll hook you up. It's fine.
Ace. Thank you kindly. No, because as far as I'm concerned, the problem with R Factor 2, the problem with Studio 397 in its various guises has always been perception. Everyone has in their mind the release from 2013, the archaic UI, how difficult it was to get into, and that's just not what R Factor 2 is anymore.
No, correct.
There's not
Yeah,
what
true.
Le Mans Ultimate is anymore.
By far not.
You still have to get things dialed in, but hell, that's because there's no support. Get a set. Go on.
No, I was going to say, I also think, though, you're totally right. I also think it's not an error, it's just an unfortunate series of circumstances and availability and costs.
Absolutely.
That they were also, but also that they haven't been able to get something on consoles recently. Because I know everyone here is like, we're all PC hardcore sim racers, but a surefire way of earning some revenue without any preconceived notion or without perhaps less of a negative perception
it's
towards
a new
them.
audience.
Yeah, it's a newer audience. And I'm not saying that everybody on console doesn't.
And they're hungry.
No,
and
no,
they're
no,
hungry
but-
for sims. They're hungry for.
But they're hungry for
something that
sims
is not
because-
a racing game. Yeah.
Correct, because you can buy a load of direct drive wheelbases and load cell pedals for console now, and there'll be more soon. And I'm sure you'll see at Expo. And
I'm looking
that's a
forward to
big
that as well.
hardware gold rush towards. Okay, Fanatec's had its issues. We need to be in that space because that was the best-selling Fanatec hardware, right? The console compatible stuff. So now we need the Sims to go with it, right?
Yeah.
But we'll see that Evo will be at some point on them, and Project Motor Racing is there. And if Le Mans Ultimate, I just think, again with their press releases that they've released and their recent trailer that they did with Stephen Hood being interviewed per se in the studio of like, here's the new features. It goes through it, doesn't it? And he talks about, and the PS5 Pros now out, and we would like to be on there. But it's a case of not having enough money to I suspect, to make that jump, which is very unfortunate.
I think it might be
it's
something
not
different.
Easy. Yeah, go on.
I might think it might be something different. I don't think that consoles can run ISI.
The Grand Tour game disagrees.
Oh, really? Grand Tour game?
Yeah, do you know that was Studio
I
397 were contracted to that?
Was
yeah,
that
and
nice?
it is, yes. Yep.
Okay.
But
fine.
it's a lot lower lot lower version.
Yeah.
Right, it's
No.
not
I
running
mean the 3 kilohertz physics system and all of
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's muted down, but the Grand Tour video game spin-off by Amazon Studios was have a look at the game credits. It's interesting.
Huh.
One of your former guests worked on it a lot.
Yes. No. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. But I didn't know it was based in.
I'm with you
ISI.
there, though. I share the same concern that
Yeah.
whatever way it comes, it would have to be changed.
Yeah. It wouldn't be Le Mans Ultimate. It would be. But then again, ACC's done that.
Might do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. With some
And
mixed success, it must say. But now it's actually in a good place. It's taken a long time.
Yeah.
But actually, it does feel... It feels really good. It looks good. It just doesn't have the ability to have like a... Well, actually, one company offers it. But you know how a lot with ACC in the competitive space, it's like low-fuel motorsports and all... Grid Finder and... Sim
Just
Racing
Race
GP.
and
You can't... There's only one of those on console and you have to pay a subscription, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because SimGrid does offer a thing called Seasons, which came out a couple of months ago,
Yeah.
which is that for console, right?
Okay.
So which is really cool. So, but up until that point, the online racing side on console and ACC was significantly behind the PC version. But to drive, yeah, it's great. It is really good now. It was bad to start with. So I don't know how we're going down this rabbit hole. Sorry, this is.
I'm actually pretty sure that one of the reasons why Ian Bell, who you guys know I'm quite critical of, but I think that was a masterstroke, why Ian Bell has gone Giants engine is because the Giants engine works on consoles, on mobile, and in most everything that you throw at it. So,
by the way, that was funny to see what was happening there when to see the reaction to that, because I think it's a smart move. I agree.
Yeah.
I think the new Farm Simulator engine looks fantastic, and they
know also about esports, which is, I mean,
they know esports, they know
that
consoles.
People don't know that much. The esport competition on Farming Simulator is fierce. Like there
I
is
just watched
something going on there, and they have different modes, and you have to collect enough bales in that and that time and whatever. So it's an impressive esports community there. So that's also something that the Giants people know how to do.
But it's also it sounds to me like that game is being made with PC and consoles in mind from the offset, as opposed to, what have we got in the cupboard? R Factor 2. Let's put the WEC license on that and give them less than a year to make something, right? Whereas I think, you're right. But this is supposed to be out of the Motorsport, I suppose. But Giants engine, they know they have complete control over the graphics, right? The game code, the esports. They have mods on console, which shouldn't be overlooked, I suspect.
Yeah.
Tinfoil hat time. And they also even internally make their own console discs to publish.
Oh,
right.
Really?
They have Giants has its own factory that prints the discs.
So they have very good connections to the console makers, because normally the console
they've already got that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all approved. Yeah, it's all in one place, right? And
that's awesome.
So it's
Project Motor Racing is the first game, but there could be others, from completely different genres that they have farming sim. Now they're looking to be a more than a publisher. It's like a partnership.
It's an even more clever step from Ian Bell.
Amazing.
I've never said he was not clever, so to put it right. But I'm quite critical of him because he promises a lot and then delivers. He promises you a lion and then you get a mouse.
Yeah.
So
as anyone who played Fast and Furious Crossroads will attest. But the one thing I would say is the game is always shipped with Ian, for better or worse. Right, we don't like Project Cars 3 or Fast and Furious. It's obvious, right? There's been all these promises and stuff, but at least they existed. So
well,
we'll see.
Here's the thing is that Ian Bell, for all the cynicism, has come out recently and essentially washed his hands of PC3 and said that, look, by the time that PC3 was in development and getting close, it was nothing to do with me, which obviously is something that he's going to say, but at the same time, if you take him at his word, it kind of tracks. Like, I don't think Ian Bell would have. I don't think Ian Bell would have had closed off pit lanes in Project Cars 3.
Well, he said to me the first time I interviewed him, I asked him, I'd heard some things, and I asked him, and it was supposed to be like a spin-off game from the outset. Right, with a different name, not Project Cars 3, Project Cars Sideways, I think. Yeah, so have a look on the Traxion website. And I think that doesn't excuse the game, but it would have helped. It would have helped a bit, right? Yes. A different name to signify that it was a spin-off. But also, they were in a weird time then.
Forza Horizon.
Correct, exactly. That was the example I used. Yeah, exactly. But whether or not, this is years later, isn't it? Right, so I don't want to come across as an Ian Bell defender, but. The company was in a strange time at that moment, right? Because they'd been absorbed by Codemasters, and they still had a publishing deal with Bandai Namco. Yeah, and Codemasters was speaking to EA.
Codemasters just got bought like a couple of months after buying Project Cars. What was the company? SMS. After buying that, they themselves got bought by EA. So who snatched it from Y2K?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, 2K was interested, weren't they? I forgot about that.
I was going to say, this is modern history discussion. This is.
Yeah, sorry, I've really taken it. We mentioned Project Motor Racing, it's gone away. But one final thought that just popped in my mind: I do think it's a shame that Project Cars 4 was cancelled, right? Because that could have been another sim in 2025.
Leave physics.
Yeah.
With what?
Leave physics. That was a tweet that Ian Bell put.
Yeah, which then deleted it. He deleted it. I think.
Yeah. I thought that
was a picture of a Nürburgring.
No. He said that was something that PC4 would bring. I don't know if that tweet was chemically enhanced or not, but he wrote that.
Anyway, there's Project Motor Racing now, so let's see what happens. And Le Mans Ultimate, I really look forward to, hopefully, a version 1.0 with all the DLC finished, and I would love nothing better for some investor or merger or purchase to finish what I think has a lot of potential.
Yes. But I think that's the story of R Factor 2 as well.
Well, yeah.
So it seems to be just if we're going to look back on this in the annals of history, and it's just be like, how were they that unlucky? How many mirrors did they break collectively to end up that unlucky?
I also just no, I'll save that for another time. No, go on. No, I don't think Studio 397 gets out of this. Whatever happens to Motorsport games without being damaged, or
100%.
I don't think it's as easy as MSG disappears, Studio 397 carries on because the licensing is all intertwined with MSG. So are the team members, and it's really almost like a brand name for the development team rather than an actual separate entity. Really, I think. So,
Well, that was the reason why they could close Kartcraft as well, was because it wasn't as though they were subcontractors or anything. They were directly employed, and they were
exactly.
They were all in it together. Unluckily, absolutely. And
it would have been so great to get a Kartcraft with mods activated. Because we would have about every kart track out there for Kartcraft, and Kartcraft was great to drive.
Well, interestingly,
it still is.
Yeah, last I heard, the Motorsport Games were still trying to sell the property, right? But it hasn't happened. Which is a shame.
Moving on from the far future of some cells or Project Motor Racing to a near future, the 16th of January, Assetto Corsa Evo, as we've decided we're going to call it because it's an Italian company, and Assetto Corsa is an Italian word, and therefore it's, Tom said it completely correctly, it's Evo because it's Italiano.
That's also how Kunos pronounces it.
Of course, because they are Italian.
Exactly.
So Ike found out a post on Reddit that says a couple of, I'd say, strange things, but some of them have already become reality from what we know from ACE. So Ike, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I don't know how much I can talk about this because I get extremely salty every time I think about it. I don't know about you guys. I was really hoping that Assetto Corsa Evo was going to be the actual successor to the original Assetto Corsa. So you'd have your content manager, your not Reshade, Sol, all of those things that were mods for the original Assetto Corsa thrown into Assetto Corsa Evo or ACE, and then we get a new platform to build mods on. And from what we have heard, and from the noises that are being made, is they're going to try and make it a Forza Horizon but better.
Cody?
Well, yeah. Let's back up a little bit.
Which I don't like. Yeah.
Let's back up a little bit. Let's catch us up to speed. You've heard Ike cover it a little bit, but Assetto Corsa Evo. I'm gonna call it Evo because
you're American.
My last name is last name is Swanson, which didn't become Swanson until my ancestors came over to America, and before that it was Svensson. And so I've got a family history of names changing and the pronunciations of words changing. So I'm gonna call that justification good enough to still call it Evo. So Assetto Corsa Evo.
Ruin everything.
No, so Assetto Corsa Evo was originally slated to come out around this summer. That did not happen.
Even sooner. Spring 24 was
spring
the first date that they gave. Then they moved it to July 24. Then they didn't move it. They just July 24 came and went, and nobody said anything officially. And now with a new trailer, they say 16th of January. 25.
Yes.
Sorry, Cody, but I think
Go ahead.
it's important to know that the spring and summer dates came from Digital Brothers, right? The parent company of
That's it, yeah.
the owner of the 505 games, blah, blah, blah. In financial documents to investors who they're trying to lure and say, "Whoa, look, we've got this good thing going." Blah, blah. And the first time ever a date has been said from, let's say, Assetto Corsa is the 16th of January. So I suppose when is a delay? I don't know. It's tricky.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a very fair point. But yeah, so Assetto Corsa Evo now has a trailer. We had a teaser trailer at the beginning, which was just a lot of close-ups of some very, very pretty graphics of some very attractive cars. Now we have something with a bit more substance. We have cars racing around the Nürburgring and some areas around the Nürburgring, which is interesting.
In the rain.
Yes, in the rain. Yes, and at night as well. There's also night driving shown. So it shows off dynamic weather and day and night, full 24-hour day and night cycle, which is super cool. One of the shots that I thought was really cool, they do this like zoom in on a model car wall. Which if you're a longtime fan of the show, you know that I'm a huge model car guy. I too have a model car wall of a lot of 1/18 scale model cars. So whenever I saw that, and then it like zooms in, and the I think it was Alfa Romeo, like turns from model car to real life car driving on the road. I thought that was
so
really
smooth as well.
really smooth. Yeah, I thought that was so
So
cool.
smooth. I didn't like the trailer. I liked that.
Yes, yeah. But a lot of this focus on oh yeah, there's also shots in like what looked like a dealership, and it had the Kunos logo in the background. A lot of this is from the official trailer, leading us to suspect that this is going to have a open world career focused aspect to it. Now that's what's appeared in the official trailer. Around the same time, there was also coverage of a leak, and the coverage of the leak posted on the Assetto Corsa subreddit, but they were copying a text file that has apparently been on a public sim racing Discord server. They didn't name which one, but it's been on that Discord server for a while, apparently. 5 months ago, I think they said it was. But in that, they have a bunch of points, some of which are shown as confirmed, some of which are shown as maybe, like a might come, and some are like speculation zone. And from this trailer that has just dropped, comparing it against this leak list, it looks like it's pretty darn close. So we can, though not, take it as at face value, we can take it as a pretty good insight into a fuzzy picture of what Assetto Corsa Evo is shaping up to be. And it is looking like it will be an open world map with a bit of a career. Looks like there will be the Nordschleife and the areas around the Nürburgring that will all be constructed. In the leak, they say 2,500 square kilometers, which is insanely big. I don't think the crew was that big, and that was like a shortened, pared down version of the entire United States, procedurally generated in parts. But the economy is iffy if there will be like much of an economy, but the leak does call out extensive player driven market and economy as a maybe.
And Marco Mazzaruto in an Italian spoken interview that is linked on the Reddit also says that players will be able to buy cars and so on. So this is something that comes from what do you say, from the horse's mouth. So we do know that at least if they have some kind of career mode, you will do some Forza whatever. You only can get a new car when you buy it. And
Yes, and in this leak, confirmed, it says there will be no official mod support. So the rub is that Assetto Corsa Evo is looking less like a direct sequel and more like a spin-off using the technology of sim racing development to make an open world game that is, at least in terms of gameplay, somewhat akin to Forza or Gran Turismo with a multiplayer open world.
And with AC physics.
And with AC physics, yeah.
Retain the physics. It's just it's Gran Turismo but better, or
yes,
Forza Horizon but better.
Although I just a small aside about the no official mod support. Marco Mazzaruto, again in another interview he made in Italian, confirmed mod support. He very much specifically said yes. ACE will support mods. He said it in Italian, but to anybody who understands Italian, it was quite clear that he said, "Oh yes, it's gonna support." So that's one point where the Reddit is going wrong. Hey,
it's wrong.
All right, good to know.
This is, as I say, this is the reason why it's very disappointing for me, because what I was hoping we were going to get was the up-to-date ACC tire physics handling model, where they've made so much progress.
Want the ACC tire physics on that?
No, but I prefer over AC1 tire physics. As we've said I've said several times, I still believe that the ISI physics system is the best publicly released tire system and physics system that we've got so far. The only competition to that is Marcel Offerman's project, which, speaking of, Tom, did you get to drive that at SFE?
Yeah. Fantastic.
What was your take on it?
Loved it.
Yep, cool.
I think
Okay,
I've only tried. Yeah. No, but here's the thing. We should be talking about Assetto Corsa. No,
this is what this is for. This is what this is for.
This is what we do here. Tangents are the straightest line that we have.
Brilliant, love it.
The thing is as well is that we have a lot in common. We have a lot more in common than with yourself than we do with, say, Marcel or some other people that we've had on the podcast before. Like, you do all the digging same as we do all the digging, so it's a rare opportunity to put educated opinions in a video format like this, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this is going to go all over the place purely because there's so many questions to ask.
Well, to answer the one from a few moments ago, I did play The Last Garage. I thought it was very, very promising. I really loved how tactile it was. Mm-hmm. But, it's a vertical slice of something very, very early in development, right? So, loved it, but you can't say much more, really. It's no. We'll see what happens at next year's event.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait for
back
that.
in Assetto Corsa world, which is shaping up to be central Germany.
Interesting, isn't it? An Italian company that takes central Germany as whatever.
Well, you know, in
that development.
Yeah. In sim racing,
there, they go there.
Yeah,
it's the mecca.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense. In sim racing, the question that a lot of people have whenever there's a sim coming out or adding content is, Nordschleife win, Nürburgring win, right? And so Assetto Corsa is like, what if all Nürburgring? And so that's pretty cool. I
Just some
think
opinions
that.
on that. But go on. After
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't think it's. I could be wrong. I'm not feeling that it's like a Forza Horizon or that it's a centralized world per se that you drive around in Germany. I think I haven't seen anything. I don't know anything. My feeling is that it's like they said the first Assetto Corsa. The career match structure might be very different, but if you imagine the first Assetto Corsa without mods, I think it is actually a follow-up to that in many ways, like licensed road cars and race cars from different ages in as much detail as they can with the fantastic physics. And then it just happens to be that maybe around just the Nordschleife you can explore a bit, right? But I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think it's going to be like Forza Horizon where it's like, find this hidden object and challenges like this, right? I don't know how it would integrate with the career, or is it just a fun little aside, a bonus addition?
I mean, we do know that there's at least going to be a mode in ACE where you will be able to buy and maybe even sell cars, maybe upgrade, but where for sure, because it comes from Marco Massarutto, you will be able to buy cars, and only when you buy them you will be able to drive them.
Cool.
It may be one mode of different.
Right, yeah. Which, if that's the case, it does sound reminiscent of a Gran Turismo 7, in my opinion. And I actually think the trailer had evoked the car automotive fan more than the sim racing fan, which is what a Gran Turismo would do, right? Gran Turismo appeals to car fans first and foremost, I suspect, in my opinion. Yeah, and I love Gran Turismo, right? So I think maybe that's the slight deviation of, let's take our sim and just market it towards general car fans as well as sim races.
Which, as you said, AC already did up to a point.
Exactly. The first AC was that, yeah. And it was on consoles, and but it's just that it has its second life, hasn't it, Assetto Corsa, where the PC modding scene has taken it to whatever you want, right? If you want to play No Hesse down some busy streets, right?
Drifting,
or
whatever.
open world drifting series, or an open world environment that you just sort of casually explore, which maybe there's some inspiration there from the modding scene, then you can do that if you want to install that. The challenge is with trying to replicate that or open it up to mods or whatever it might be, who knows. A lot of those are illicit, let's say, and it doesn't make Kunos money directly. Or, more to the point, keeps their developers employed and satisfies 505 games who have to satisfy Digital Brothers, right? So it's a very tricky thing. You said there that I've not seen it myself, that in an Italian interview he definitely said mods. I did an interview with him a few months ago where he said, well, people can find the link if they, I'm going to paraphrase now, so don't take this as a fact, read the article please, but he said that it's on the table but no decision had been made yet, and this was in the middle of the year at the Spa 24-hour race. And I suspect, pure theory, that it's not something you would see when it launches at the start of early access in January, right? I think it's unreasonable to expect porting all these AC1 mods from January the 16th.
No.
It's not the focus. The focus is to try and make the core experience as best as it can be.
Yeah. My assumption probably is that there will be a career mode, because that's confirmed, but it might not be that's the only game mode that there is. I don't think it'll just be that. I think you'll be able to load up a race at X track of your choosing that's on the calendar and do race weekends, that sort of thing. That feels like a core gameplay aspect that if they have the Nürburgring, the Nordschleife, and they have race cars like they've shown in the trailer, like that's like clearly going to be a focus of content that they've already shown. So that feels incredibly intuitive, that there's like, well, okay, we have race cars and a racetrack, let's set up races. So that is all but confirmed. I'm going to call that speculation zone, sure. But it's a racing sim at the end of the day. I think that's going to be in there. I do think that there will be a career mode, because again, we've talked about the game economy and buying cars and tracks or just buying cars. But I think that in terms of the career mode stuff, and Ike's have almost the opposite opinion as me on this. But I feel like I've been told like, hey, it's not going to be a direct sequel to AC1, which I think in many ways it might be. But I think it's like if that is the case and it is just open world, just on that assumption, it's like they took away cookies from me, but then they gave me chocolate cake, because I think that the way this is shaping up, and again, through this trailer alone, we don't have a whole lot of details, but piecing together some of the other things of like where the vibe of this is all coming in, it feels like open worlds like Gran Turismo or Forza, but like hardcore sim racing. I think that is kind of a dream game that I've described. I always called it as like the GTA 5 map with Assetto Corsa physics as like being kind of the dream, where it's like I want a big open world environment with tracks and things, and or tracks within that world, but just broadly I just want roads and things to just go nuts on, and I want AI traffic that I could turn on or off. I want like stuff like that in my head, in my dream game, and this feels like it's like getting close to that. So I'm hyped. It's like, even if it is something a little bit different than what I was expecting, I'm hyped. I'm excited. And it sounds like they're differentiating this so that they're not competing with Assetto Corsa 1 and all the tens, hundreds of thousands of mods that have come out for that over the past decade. So it's different enough that people will probably buy the new one and not just go, I'm happy with this. This has everything that I like already.
And I think Tom, you said some. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say that they're in a rock and a hard place, though, right? Because they've got so many thousands of people playing AC1 with all the mods installed, and this is not that. And so I'm quite happy with that. But I think the proof will be in the pudding, right? If it drives well.
84 daily average users in the last month. So
exactly right. So I think it'll be always judged against that. But if it's different enough and drives well and plays well, then I think people will soon forget.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest concern is that they're going to sacrifice the driving physics for the sake of either console compatibility or the open world. Because I mean, how many times? Well, hell, we heard it from Forza Motorsport that they found a high-end physics engine too complicated to program, so they used a simpler physics program, program engine. Thank you. And then built canned effects on top of that. That's not how you build a physics engine. And obviously we've not heard anything about that as yet, so it is still speculation at this point. But I
think we'll find out soon.
Oh, absolutely. I hope we do.
I hope we do.
And again, I hope it's great. I hope I'm wrong. I really, really do hope I'm wrong. I hope that it's the best sim that we've had and takes everything a step forward.
Even if it's not on the 16th of January, it's still early access, right?
Yes.
And I remember ACC had its, vehement, strong critics in early access phase, right?
I was one of them.
Yeah, right. Most people were.
Yeah.
He's still one of them.
I'm still one of them.
Tom, I think one thing that you said I found very interesting about the direction that Kunos is taking. You said that they are trying to appeal more to the car-interested people than to the sim racer.
My opinion.
Yeah, sure, but it looks like that. I agree with that opinion, and I think that, of course, opens them to... They could become something like the Project Cars of 2025 in that they are sim enough to be liked by sim people, but game enough to be liked by those who play Forza. And then they go and say, oh, yeah, but this this car feels different. This car feels more like the cars that I drive every day. Wait, what is this sim racing thing? Because I know that for a lot of people, project cars or project cars too, were their gateway drug into sim racing.
Me.
Yeah. Well, I think that I agree. Yeah. But to further that point, Gran Turismo 7 is a real sort of tentpole title and does that really well, I think, in my opinion. And because it's not a sim in the traditional sense, but it tries authentically enough to convince you sometimes. Certain cars are better than others, no doubt. Like GT3 cars are really bland and they're not, PC sims do it way better, but the road cars especially are pretty damn good. And this to me, well, actually, it's believed, if you believe this, that Gran Turismo 7 has sold 10 million copies, right? Bigger than all of sim racing combined. So I do not bemoan 505 Games, Digital Brothers and Kunos to go after some of that.
That's fair.
Right?
I can't.
But if it still drives as well as the first AC did out of the box for the or slightly evolved, then hopefully, it could be the worst of both worlds. It could be the best of both worlds. Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
a risk.
Yeah.
But I think you look at the trailer. To me, it's almost designed to appeal to car enthusiasts. Like, look at this old car. Look at this new car. We've got the two Golfs side by side, the old one and the new one. And look at the detail and the Morgan that's not in really any other sims. And we've got the Ioniq 5, which is a crazy electric car. Hint of Fuji Speedway there, I reckon. And all this cool stuff. And Marco is doing the voiceover there, and he's saying the car passion is life and all these cheesy expressions. And he's not saying this is the most realistic simulator of all time, even if it is.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's what the Forza people said.
Oh yes, which that has aged badly.
That's aged really badly.
It's built from scratch, but here's Daytona. That was the same model from the last one with the incorrect pit exit. Fantastic.
We get to speak about positive stuff, though, that's coming even sooner than ACE.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm going to drag us here because there's even more questions, which Tom can probably tell us more about anything than anyone else.
Depends what you ask.
Well... I hear that Traxion are an official partner of a certain sim racing expo coming up.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, can confirm. Listen, it doesn't mean that anyone else can be media credited, right? But it just means that hopefully in the next couple of weeks you'll be able to hear some news first on Traxion, right? And,
there's no salt here. It was congratulatory.
Thank you. No, yeah.
It's so I like the Phoenix analogy that I used in the start of the podcast. I was not kidding. Your team or Traxion, the team has brought Traxion back from the ashes with such a passion and a drive, and people are noticing.
Cool, thank you very much. Yeah. It's like, again, to reiterate, team effort, and we're really trying every day, all day. This is technically work for me in a way, right? It's chatting to some fellow sim racers, but I'm here representing Traxion, I suppose, and I've been working most of the day on a Saturday because we care about it, and if there's some news, we'll cover it. Where am I going with that? Yes, so it was key that when we came back, that one of the first things we announced was partnership with the Sim Expo, and really, what I hope is that the sim racer out there will benefit from that, and we'll be able to cover it as best as we can. And I'm looking forward to seeing your coverage from the event as well, right? I'm sure you did an amazing job. There's some cool news hopefully next week, so we'll see what that is.
Yeah,
cool.
So we will have some news in our tomorrow, the listeners Sunday.
Okay, cool.
From exhibitors, what they are bringing and so on, as we had already from SimRep and MME and so on. One thing that I noticed, I follow them on LinkedIn, and a couple of months ago I started looking, okay, who is gonna be there? They have something like 72 exhibitors. Okay, granted, some of them are Bundeswehr, which is the German military, and so on. So let's say that they have about 60 to 65 companies that really cater to sim racing. and that's enormous. That's enormous compared to the Expo 2 years ago. Remember, Cody, in Nuremberg, where there were a lot of companies that had jumped ship, and they had enough empty booths that it was noticeable. It's the last year it was big, but they still have had empty spaces. But it was bigger, and from what we heard from many people there, better. But this year is gonna top everything I've seen at the Sim Racing Expo to date.
So last year at Sim Racing Expo, there was some behind-the-scenes drama. A bunch of people pulled out as well. There were some notable absences that were there in 2022, which was the first year that I got to go. So that's my starting point comparison. But last year we didn't have Cube Controls. We didn't have GSI, Dallas Boys, we didn't
Simulcube.
have Simucube. We didn't have Moza, and all of those are confirmed for being here this year at Sim Racing Expo. And so it seems that last year went well enough that this year they've gotten everyone who jumped, or not everyone, but the major players who jumped ship after 2022,
Or they
and
went down with
got
the
them
prices.
back. Right. Yeah.
I mean,
For
there's
whatever
always
reason it was.
Going a little bit back to LMU. If they would have priced the DLCs differently, I think they would have sold more. So it's always pricing is always a very difficult thing. Like, where is the pain point for the buyers? And they may have the people that were there last year, the exhibitors, who many were also at the SFE, talked to each other, because of course they do, and said, oh no, the Sim Racing Expo was good in Dortmund and it's a good place and blah 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 blah, and maybe that convinced some of the others to go back to the Sim Racing Expo. Maybe they did the prices, maybe it's both, maybe it's even more than that, but yeah.
I also think it depends on if you've got something to show that year or not. Yeah. Well, I don't think Simicube had much new to announce last year, for example. Maybe they might do this time.
They had at the same Formula Europe.
Ah, yes, very true. Yeah. Actually, I saw you recording in that very room.
Yeah. Yeah. So
SFE was such a lovely environment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I love the Sim Expo, and Sim Formula Europe is also fantastic. First time for me earlier this year. We'll be going back next year, and I think it's amazing that there are two events that can hopefully coexist and offer something very similar but also slightly different.
And soon, maybe even Chicago.
Interesting.
Yeah, we have to go to Cody.
Well, Chicago is not exactly directly.
It's closer than we are.
True that.
I actually went to Chicago earlier this summer. I think I mentioned that in the previous podcast. Yeah. But from Texas,
you went to the Democratic Convention,
flight.
but didn't tell us. You were actually,
I was there
I think,
at the same
2
time
days
as the Democratic Convention. I certainly did not go to the Democratic Convention. What are you trying to get me killed?
There is one SRE question that I have. I don't know if you know the answer, Tom, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I see Peugeot Sport on the list. Why is Peugeot Sport on the list?
I do not know the answer to that.
Oh,
cool.
I actually can answer that because I clicked on the logo and it took me to their page. They're partnered with P1 Sim and D-Box.
Oh, okay.
They're going to be having some simulators where I would assume you're driving the Peugeot 9X8. And
that'll be Le Mans Ultimate, won't it?
Presumably
probably.
Le Mans Ultimate.
Yeah, probably.
God.
But yeah, so I think they partnered up. I don't think P1 Sim is listed on their own.
Yes.
Oh, are they? Are they listed on their own?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I don't see them in the logo list.
Give
They
me a
are there.
sec.
I'm staring at them. The next
near
D
Logitech.
box.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
They're near
I believe you.
Logitech. What the hell is Logitech doing here as well?
No, that's fantastic because they've just
I
launched
know.
a range of new products.
Yeah. Well, when's the
And
last
they
time?
were there certainly in 2022 with quite a big
Ah,
presence. So fantastic to see a return there. And for me, good to see Thrustmaster there as well.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, that's a big
Anyone
one for
saw
me.
our coverage at Gamescom, there was a prototype wheel there,
Mhm.
which was really cool for me because it was hidden in like some sort of disguised box, like a prototype car. You know,
Yep.
before when you sometimes see that. So that was really cool. So I'll be intrigued to see if they have something that at this event for that. And then also, you know, the biggest stand at the show will be Fanatec, which I think is a big thing to pull off.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah.
Because
Fanatec said this on social media just a couple of days ago. They said visit the biggest stand at the Expo. So
Oh, really? Oh.
Considering
They've
considering they didn't
beaten
confirm
Acertec,
until
have
a
they?
couple of weeks ago, it's interesting.
yeah, it's interesting. But I think that's a real big thing behind the scenes to pull that off. Everybody involved. That they'll be there with what I believe is a notable presence based on what Fanatec says on social media. So.
Now they have the money from Sugar Daddy Corsair, so that may be part of that. And we know that Corsair knows about selling stuff because you're talking to a microphone of a company that is Corsair owned.
Yeah. You've got a Corsair mic technically.
That's a good point.
I have a Corsair PC case. They're everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, what the stand will look like or anything. And I don't know if Corsair
No.
will officially be branding it there or anything. We'll find out
No.
ourselves.
They're gonna if they
fantastic that they're there.
If they have two brain cells firing together, and I trust Corsair to have them because they are a good company, they're gonna keep the Fanatec brand for sure.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I've already announced that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
but at Gamescom they had their own stand there, and then they had their own like a racing area because they've got their prototype cockpit. And I don't know if that's going to be present at this event or not, but certainly Fanatec brand will be, and
I mean they've
it
kept
sounds
the
like a
Elgato-
notable presence.
They've kept the Elgato brand, so because
Oh yeah, I don't think it's
it had
I don't think
enough
it's a
brand
question.
recognition. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. They've literally, one of the assets is buying that, isn't it? So,
Mm-hmm.
the brand name and the recognition and the content, the customer base. But just intrigued as to what happens with the Corsair branded cockpit. Maybe we'll find out at Expo. Maybe not.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Because
Tom,
Yeah. Would it
Logitech and
be
Thrustmaster
still-
are your go-tos.
I
you
think.
saying?
Well, no, I'm Fanatec. Yeah, I want it.
Mhm.
Historically they bring something interesting.
Yeah.
I literally don't know anything, but they've got a
Cody?
huge presence. But yeah, I do think keep an eye on Thrustmaster. Logitech stuff, I believe, it's all out there in the ether.
we know that. Yeah.
But it'd be nice to try that. There's obviously Traxion. Full disclosure, is owned by Rafa Racing Club, and so is Gridfinder. And Gridfinder will have a stand,
Yeah,
and
they have.
there'll be a small Traxion presence on that stand. Although me and John will be walking around the show making content, but I think there's
High-fiving
some
with
brand
us,
in there.
probably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we will have a small segment of a stand. You might see our brand name on, which is really cool for us, by the way. I think that's a really amazing moment. So,
Well,
Short
again,
tangent. Short tangent, and then I want to get back to Sim Racing Expo. But I want to hear your thoughts from the horse's mouth on the Rafa Racing Club thing. Just what you can tell about it, because
I'm not an
we
official
found that
spokesperson, to be
interesting.
clear. And this is take it all with a pinch of salt. But I've watched your videos on it when Gridfinder was first announced, and then when Traxion was as well. And he makes some interesting points. Yeah, listen, Rafa Martin is Mr. Rafa. He's as you've done your investigation, I'm sure, Maximo Capital and commodity trader by trade, right? Became very wealthy. Bought some race cars.
Oil.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly, and natural gas and these sort of things, and bought a race car, and he could tell the story better than me. So this is an abbreviated version. No, went to the racetrack, with his Porsche on the trailer, whatever it was, and then was like, how do I unload it from the trailer? And how do I... Oh, actually, there's literally nobody that can tell me this. And people were mocking him at the racetrack. And so Rafa Racing Club is like his vision of building somewhere for affluent people to go, to get the training on sims, to get the training from driver coaches, to have their own race car storage at the track. So the first one, I believe, is at Kota. It's nearly finished. It's actually been built at the nearby.
P11 car condos, is that the one?
I'm not sure. Sorry.
Okay.
But and there's also, you know, like place where you can have a bar and food and stuff, and basically for rich people, you know, I'm certainly not affluent people, to go and enjoy. So I don't exist in that world. It's not, never will probably. But that's his vision. He's also racing. He wants to get to Le Mans. That's the big play, right?
Which makes
he's
sense.
racing,
That's the dream.
That's a dream. It's a dream. He's racing in 2 GT4 series this year. One is the Porsche Cayman GT4 Championship, which I forget the full Porsche America Sprint, blah blah blah. And then in Europe, the SRO GT4 Championship in a McLaren Artura.
Pretty car.
Yeah, he had a big crash at Monza recently where someone drove into him on the final lap. Yes.
Yeah.
And those carbon tubs are not cheap. That is a downside to running the McLaren over the other cars, let's say.
Yes.
Then,
well, how do you make a small fortune in motorsport? You start with a big fortune,
but with a big fortune. Yeah. So it's a passion project, but it is a business. So it's not. It's very different to motorsport games in that respect, right? But I think we've got time and backing, if that makes sense. But ultimately, you still have to make a successful thing, right? And then also, there's this other thing where they had like a competition, let's say, or shootout for women drivers, and a couple of those are racing. That was last year. Their prize or their selection was to race alongside in the Rafa Racing team. That's happening this year, and at the same time, that has been filmed for Amazon Prime, and that will be releasing at some point. So a part of the business is a media company that I suppose Traxion will be part of that. But also, there's documentaries being made. There's a whole American production company at some point as well. And there are some other things which I cannot possibly say.
No, of course not. No, absolutely.
But it's there's a plan. Yeah.
What I'm hearing is there's some weird perverse future wherein MSG gets bought out by Rafa Racing Club and you end up with your own company.
I have not heard that. I have not heard that. I have definitely not heard that. And
we're entering the speculation zone.
That would be weird. That'd be really weird.
Would it be right? Okay, so
I think that would be weird.
It would be totally peculiar.
Let's call it that.
Yeah, but as we said earlier, you know, it's not an easy business to take over, is it?
No, and to get MSG back from, well, it wouldn't be MSG anymore at that point, would it? Because the whole point of Motorsport Games was being linked to Motorsport, the rest of the company. Yeah, Motorsport Network.
Yeah, but that doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
That connection no longer exists, right? So there's a different company now that owns Autosport magazine, Autosport.com, Motorsport.com.
Yeah.
But obviously, when I was at Traxion, I used to write for those outlets as well, right? Because it was all under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that. That tie doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
When I was at Traxion, he says. You are at Traxion.
1.0. Yeah.
Exactly.
Traxion 2.0 now.
Yeah, Traxion version 1.
Good point there.
So back on, I promised
Anyway,
a short
Expo.
tangent. I want to know, either from a journalistic lens or just from a fan of sim racing lens, I want to know what you're most excited for.
Do you know what I would like to see? It's amazing having all these hardware companies and hopefully announcing new companies and putting on a good show. And I would really like the ADAC Sim Racing Expo to have software, the right word? I don't know. New stuff from the game and simulation manufacturers.
You want to see Kunoff's, Razor, iRacing.
Yeah.
Race Room is there.
And I was going to say Race Room is there, and
because they are owned by KW, and Asha is going to be there, Track Time is going to be there, and of course Race Room is going to be there.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see. I think what was it last year's event, which I didn't make it to. I think Race Room debuted like an early version of some updated tire physics.
Yes.
And again, I don't know anything for this year, but I think it'd be really cool if this event evolves to a place where there's unreleased sims that you can also test in person.
Hey,
and whether having your own stand is really expensive. like SFE, right, where we saw Marcel Offerman's The Last Garage. I thought that was a real bonus to that event.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be really cool. And I also think that having those game companies, spend the money on a stand might be too much to expect. But I remember in 2022 on the Fanatec stand, the iRacing had the BMW GTP or LMDH, depending on which series you follow. Playable on the stand. There was not a big iRacing banner and stuff, but it was before it was released. And so keep your eyes peeled, I guess. Let's hope there's something like that again. Because I actually think that's almost a bigger sell in some respects. Because, I want to play this game that's not released. And also, like Gamescom. And also, look at all this hardware that I could try.
Fair.
Well, so would it be worth? I'm going to make a really stupid idea now. Would it be worth offering discounted rates to the Sims to get people there?
Well, whatever works to get Sims there, but I don't want to speak for the Expo's economics.
No. Again,
but
the point is the point is it would be cool if that would be viable for SRE. Then obviously that would be a great way of getting people in and good.
Yeah, of course.
I'd be surprised if they have not addressed that to the different studios. I'd be very surprised. Because
I mean,
they are quite awake and they do make their rounds. And I mean, as I said, 72 exhibitors at this sim racing expo.
Incredible.
shows you that they have been scrounging everything, searching everything, and trying to find any company out there and giving them some space. So I'd be very surprised if they have not already talked to studios, and for whatever reason or reasons, the studios have said no thanks. I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because I think actually, separate to games or hardware, whatever, there's nothing to say that this is the final list as well.
I mean, Kunos were there a couple of years ago when they were still at the Nürburgring. Kunos was there at the Fanatec stand.
See, I wasn't at that event.
They had a sub stand, so to speak, and R Factor 2 was also there. That must have been 2018, 2017, something like that.
And 2022, KT Racing was there with the WRC game.
Exactly. Yeah, and
so
Microsoft with I think it was Forza. Which one?
Oh, interesting.
Microsoft was there last year.
Right. Maybe Forza Motorsport then. I don't know. I didn't actually visit the event last year. There was circumstances.
I only remember. Yeah, I only remember because I went through the B-roll recently to find something and said,
cool.
Yeah, Microsoft were there. That's another good thing of having B-roll, that you then say, right, these guys were there.
I've noticed that Le Mans Ultimate, going back to that perennial topic, has been touring the WEC races in real life, right? And I believe that's a partnership with Thrustmaster.
True. Yeah.
I'm not saying that sim will be present at this event, but that's the sort of partnerships I'd love to see in the future. And also, I'm not denigrating the hardware manufacturers, because that's really cool. I'm really excited for all of that. And on the Traxion podcast recently, Andre Eriksson of Assetto was saying how they might have a prototype of an entry-level model at the show.
I'm very excited for that.
I want to talk about that a little bit, because you interviewed him and talked that. I am particularly interested in this product because I really like their hardware, but it's a little too rich for my blood. And I if it's there, I'm definitely going to test it.
If it's there, it'll be prototype form. It might not even be playable, right? But
that's fair. That's fair.
Well,
but I at least want to get
the first prototype that we get shown in one of these expos.
Yes.
No.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
What are you guys looking forward to?
You've already said it. I'm in Ace Tech. Yeah.
yeah. That's me.
I'm interested to see what Fanatec bring. I'm very interested.
Me too.
I'm very interested to see what
a shaft extender.
Now.
Your favorite topic.
We've gone on about that long enough.
Long enough. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But it's I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to speak to someone from Camus, and definitely
Right.
not batter them over the head with an
I
LP8
don't think they're gonna have an official presence there.
stand.
They're gonna be there on the stand of somebody else, as far as I know. But I'm still
Okay,
waiting for.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for them to come back to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to be able to speak to someone from Camus. I'm exceedingly excited for the Acertech. I'm hoping that along with the budget-friendly wheelbase, there may be a budget-friendly QR that comes out as well. Just again, that's wishful thinking at this point. There's nothing to say that's going to stay like that, because obviously you lose out on some of the quality at the same time. But that they are the main ones. I've got to be honest.
SimiCube just posted a teaser on social media. I don't know if it's related to the Expo or what it is.
Is this just?
They told us that they are going to be presenting something, at least for press, that is going to be completely new, but they have kept mum about what it's going to be. So
Cool. But publicly, they've got a little teaser trailer out there now. So
cool.
The timing would align, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Also, I see on the list BDH race sim hardware on there, which do amazing sequential shifters. They're made in the north of the UK, so I'm quite loyal because that's where I live.
So we'll
I'd
have
like
to go and see them together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can translate what they're saying. No, I'm kidding.
It's okay. My partner's from Lancashire, so
okay.
I know how to translate Northern.
Cool. All right, that's all right then. Yeah, no, they're a small family company.
Okay.
And yeah, they do the most hardcore sequential gear shifter thing that I can't describe really. It looks like it could be something from an armory. So well worth checking them out, and if they've got a stand to test their products, heartily recommend it. It's quite unique.
Who again?
BDH.
And
if you're on the Sim Racing Expo website with all the logos, it's on the bottom row.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's green.
Oh yeah.
So
that looks hydraulic.
Assetec, I agree. SimoCube, I agree. There's one that you guys have not talked about, and that I'm gonna take a look. It's Scoop. Scoop is a South Korean live streaming platform.
Oh no!
So I want to know A, what the heck they're doing there, and B, how they think they can compete against Twitch and YouTube. But South Korea has a very lively streaming and gaming industry, as they have a very lively film industry, and I want to take a look at that, because South Korea is often forgotten. And they have very interesting things. They have one of the longest existing fantasy MMOs in the world.
Oh, right.
I can think of a Korea that's more forgotten. One of the ones that I'm excited for, that's kind of, I think, not been on anyone's radar. I want to see what Sensit is going to bring. Have you guys been up on Sensit?
No.
No.
They are a haptic feedback company, and they say that they use their patented technology to create immersive experiences from games, VR, films, and automobiles to metaverse spaces. So their little teaser on Sim Racing Expo has built-in haptic stuff in some car seats. But then they also, this is very interesting to me, they have a render, and this is only a render, but they have a render at the bottom of this where they have, in the same blue that would identify that this is haptics, they have a steering wheel and the pedals themselves of a sim racing rig that are glowing blue as if it was haptics. So
Ooh, interesting.
that makes me wonder if they're going to show something that's like the wheel itself, like the actual rim that you hold, has some sort of haptic feedback to it.
Interesting.
So
that would be a much better way of getting sort of rumble to the steering wheel. Take some of the weight off of the wheelbase, put it straight into the wheel.
Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. Similarly, they have the pedals also glowing blue, as if it has haptics in the same way. So that seems interesting to me. That is only a render. It's again, speculation, whatever. But I'm curious what they're going to bring. That makes me interested to see at least what they're going to have at the booth.
I'm going to go nerd out at 3D printers as well, because Prusa's going to be there. So if you can't find me, I'll be drooling over Prusa printers.
We will be able to find you. We have what is it? Already out of 10 slots, we have 9 already filled.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah,
there's
we're
only
going to be extremely busy.
One slot empty. So we're going to have a lot of interviews and we're going to have our Sim Racing Expo podcast, and we're going to have a lot of content.
Which is going to be better because this time it's not going to be in the entrance hall. Oh, grief. That was... Yeah. I hope that, again, there's probably something more for off camera, but I hope that you guys, that Tractions has got somewhere where you can be in a corner somewhere where there isn't noise. Because that was, especially with Asetec firing up the Gibson? I think it's Gibson,
wasn't
the back of the P3 car.
No, it wasn't.
It was a P3 car. It's a Ligier P3 that they had there. Okay. But they would fire up the engine every now and then, basically, which made any kind of coverage just use potluck as to whether you could hear anything or not.
Yeah, well, we've only got our co-stand with Grid Finder, which is right in the middle of everything, so I think it's going to be very difficult to isolate the noise. But we'll see.
Boy. Well, Asetec last year gave out earplugs.
I'm bringing the microphones that we use at the Sim Formula Europe.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll be
looking forward to it. Should be a good event. But it's a couple of weeks from now. I've also got a little trip somewhere before then. So I'm actually stressing.
Understandable.
Monday's going to be very busy in the email inbox. But
there is no. We'll save that for when off recording. But yeah, no. It's a very exciting time once again to be part of sim racing. It's a lovely space. There is only one thing that beats, I believe, where sim racing is at the moment, and that's real world motorsport. There's only one place that I would rather be other than the Sim Racing Europe in a couple of weeks, and that would be at literally any racetrack.
But why is that?
Well, not if it's Formula One.
Because racetracks. No, right. There's I've said this a lot many times before. I don't think I've said it on whilst it's being recorded though. There's something about the atmosphere of a racetrack where it doesn't matter if it's being driven on or not. It doesn't matter if you're taking part or not. There is an atmosphere of a racetrack that is irreplaceable anywhere else. And I don't think that... I think that's one of the things that sim racing will never be able to capture.
Sure.
But, I mean, we're all sim racing from offices and bedrooms and lounges and things like that. So, of course, it's never going to capture it. That's fine. Yeah, exactly. So, of course, it's never going to capture it.
So we are winding down the podcast, and Tom, if you've watched any of our podcasts, you know what is coming. At the end of the podcast, we always have the question of the month. Our question of the month last month was about which car makes the nicest sound. We didn't have any comment to that on the podcast, unluckily. So Tom, what would be your question of the month? What would you ask us, yourself, and most especially our listeners and viewers?
there are a load of racing games and sim racing titles slated for 2025. Which are you most excited for and why?
Right, Cody, you have an answer?
Assetto Corsa Evo, that's nice and easy.
Okay. Apart from Assetto Corsa Evo.
Well, I mean, we'll let that pass because Cody,
Okay.
Cody and Assetto
I'm only
Corsa,
kidding when I say
they
that.
they go hand in hand. Ike?
I don't have one. Mine's not. My favorite sim's not got a release date yet.
Which is that?
TLG.
That's great.
Oh,
I-
the last
I-
garage.
I absolutely stand behind Marcel's vision, and I can't wait for that to be released in some sort of form, whether it's the front and center or whether it's just the engineering background. I have absolute faith that from just the early stuff that we've seen, it was with RFX 2, it was only ever a case of fine-tuning numbers, which was the difference between it being a drifty mess and the best sim that is conceivable to play. And given how Marcel's approaching that sim, and the vast amount of respect I have for him generally, I'm not really looking at anything else to be excited for.
Tom?
I would tentatively categorize that under next year. At least you will see more of it. We hope.
Oh yeah, no. We'll see more. We'll see more of it next year. But as far as he's taking the, dare I say it, the Razor approach of it's done when it's done, it's ready when it's ready. When I can do something with it, I'll do something with it. And again, best approach. I just can't wait for that to happen.
Tom, which would be the one for you?
You have to answer first, Serta. Are you padding for time?
No. I just
we don't need to pad for time.
No, we're already 1.5 hours are already.
True, yeah.
Podcast, let's go.
So, for me, believe it or not, after they are going Giants engine, Iron Bells sim.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
The way that they are adding the graphics and maybe modability and the way that Giants works, I think that was a good decision. And they have gone on record saying no, the physics are not gonna be the physics of a farming simulator. We are doing our own physics, but I'm not sure if they said our own physics or we are doing physics separately.
No, it's their own. It's called the Hadron Physics Engine. That's what they're calling it, and it's new from scratch. Yep.
Okay. Yep. And let's see what it comes. One thing that for sure is interesting is that we have so much choice. We're spoiled.
Sim racing wins next year.
Yes.
Just the companies have to survive to next year to get to that point.
Look, and there's companies who are gonna die, companies who are gonna be bought up, like Fnatic, who struggled and then found the right partner, because in my opinion, Corsair is sure the right partner for a company like Fnatic. So I mean, Ike, you said it, I think it was a year ago, because this is our 20th podcast. We're nearing the 2 years. You said it, I think it was in the first or second podcast, that you give sim racing like about 5 years from 2019.
Oh yeah.
From the start of the COVID shenanigans. So around 2024, 2025, we're gonna see some shrinking happening, some differentiation in the market. I think we are seeing the first steps of that. Mostly at the moment, we're seeing the steps of people who did grave errors, like was the case with Dimitri Kosko and Motorsport Games, like was the case with, I suppose, Thomas Yakamaya and Fnatic. But I think in the next months, years, I'd say 12 to 24 months, we're gonna be seeing the companies who have not done any wrong thing per se, but still have not settled themselves well enough in the sim racing or sim racing and motorsport space to be able to survive. And then they're going to be closing shop, being absorbed by other companies. Whatever happens, the way that capitalism works. So I do think that our hobby is gonna shrink a little bit in the next couple of years, but not dramatically, because I do watch the numbers every month, and we are right now at a much better place than we were a year ago, and a year ago we were at a much better place than we were a year before, and so on. So year by year, the numbers are climbing clearly, and I don't think this is gonna change.
When I said, I was going to say, when I said that we were entering a golden age and it's going to end, and it's what I believe what I said was it take 3 years for companies to catch up with the everyman zeitgeist. Put it that way, and I still stand by that. The sim racing boom didn't really start until 2021, so we're right in the middle of it. And as you rightly said, all we've seen so far is those who have made grave errors, the ones that tried to get into it way too quickly without understanding what was going on, maybe spent too much money. Those have gone by the wayside. I don't think the community is going to get any smaller, though. The community strength, the things like the SRE are going to carry on going, because the people are there now and they're interested and they're engaged, and the more they learn about it, thanks son, the more they learn about it, the more engaged they're going to be, the more they're going to, like, you never unlearn things about sim racing. It just keeps on getting better and better and better. So while the companies may, or the amount of companies may shrink, I don't think we're going to see any kind of community loss, not for a good few years yet. One second.
I think so. Oh,
there we go.
Yeah, just to follow on, I think next year should be really good, but you never know if everything gets pulled through. I'm most looking forward to Assetto Corsa Evo, the TLG, the last garage, and Project Motor Racing. You've all said it, so I'll say some different things to answer your question, Serta. I don't know what year it's coming out, but it'd be nice if Wreckfest 2 came out next year. Looking forward to that.
Oh, I do hope that they are going for a release in for the holidays, because that would be Wreckfest 2 would be the right game for bundling with a wheel and then selling it on the holidays and having it under the Christmas tree or whatever you use to give presents. But we don't know. We don't know. Wreckfest 2 is one that we're very giddy about.
Yeah. Can't love Wreckfest. Can't wait for that. And slightly alternative, maybe for those. Maybe it's for you, Cody. Actually, I don't know. Don't know if you're interested in this sport, but iRacing's first NASCAR game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be not a simulator, but I think it'd be interesting to see how they go about that. Fascinating. And then will iRacing have its career mode next year? And then just not something I'm necessarily on the edge of my seat looking forward to, but goodness me, how on earth is Rennsport going to make a business out of that? So next year is crunch time, right?
Yeah, next year is crunch time.
So it's going to be fascinating to watch it.
Yeah.
So hopefully when they're ready with a NASCAR game or sim or whatever it is, they go for the Indycar, because I am I'm gonna. That's gonna be a shut up until
you might have to keep waiting.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what would be really damn sensible of IndyCar is to go, hey, Razor, I see you're doing really good work with IMSA. Do you want our license? I see you've
There
already
were
got
some
the
complications
car.
with IndyCar, wasn't there, in the past?
Yeah.
Come again?
There were some complications with IndyCar in the past there, because they were definitely
Yes.
released some images of something that looks like an IndyCar.
But
That
wasn't.
looks
And then
too
that's
much
never
like an
seen the light of
IndyCar,
day.
and
Yeah.
they got a knock on the door. Yes.
But this is the thing, is they clearly have the ability to model
Oh,
and
yeah.
create a really good IndyCar. Why don't... It's been 2 years since that debacle? Ooh.
Mhm.
The challenge is... Sorry.
No, go.
After you.
License.
The challenge is the project sits with IndyCar, right? They have the
Mm.
unfinished game.
But didn't they already sell the license for a game to iRacing?
No.
Okay.
No.
Then I misunderstood the information.
Yeah, no. There was all sorts of confusion there, and everybody makes mistakes, but there was some incorrect dots drawn between iRacing and that IndyCar game. Now, it might happen, right? But certainly for now, nothing has. No. So iRacing has an IndyCar license for iRacing.
So
to get the car
Renato,
branded to run events. Yeah,
Pretty
but
much.
the project at the minute is unfinished. It's an Unreal Engine from scratch, and it sits with IndyCar, who is trying to find, or at least recently, a developer to finish it.
Mm.
So would Renato want to take on an Unreal Engine project? I don't know. Ask him.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think he would.
That's...
I don't think he would.
But then again, imagine if Razor...
There's 70%, 80% of a game there.
Yeah, exactly. The other thought would be, why if Razor did what MSG did with Le Mans Ultimate, essentially repackaged RF2 with everything everything
that'd be
pulled
cool.
out. That would work really well in the Madness engine, or the Madness
Yeah.
Plus engine. Whatever
yeah,
they're calling it.
multiplayer would work really well.
Well, assuming that they do well with the 1.6 update.
True.
And then you don't have all of the other the other cars that need supporting and that sort of thing. You just go straight in. These are your Indy cars. This is your road to IndyCar. You might have to have MX-5s in there. Oh no, you might have to have MX-5s in a what is rooted in an ISI physics engine. God, that's going to be so boring, isn't it? He says, ironically.
I would love to see an IndyCar game as well.
Yes.
Yeah. But it seems further away, but then someone might surprise us at the last minute. I don't know anything more, but I just want to pick up on just very quickly, because we're going along and I need to dash. But,
Whatever.
it's been really enjoyable. I'm sorry for your listeners, viewers and subscribers. But the iRace, what happened was when the SEC final for Motorsport game happened, that we've shuttered the Australian studio, the project's effectively cancelled, and we've gone to the arrangement where so basically then IndyCar was like, well, you've broken the contract, you owe us an amount of money, which Motorsport Games didn't have or wasn't willing to. Right. So part of the agreement that Stephen Hood did was, okay, well, we can't pay this much, but we can pay less than that, and you can own the assets and find another developer. In that contract clause, there was an element of where the IndyCar put in, which was, okay, but you're still going to pay us an amount of money, but we're not convinced that you may be able to a position to pay that. So as a backup clause, iRacing was going to pay some money to close this contract. Why iRacing? Because Motorsport Games is set to receive $500,000 at the end of this year to remove the current NASCAR games from sale. So all it was was not iRacing paying for the IndyCar game in any way, right? It was IndyCar saying, we know you're due this money, so we'll have a provision in the contract where we're still going to get paid, where you're going to get less of that money from iRacing, and we're going to take a bit of it if you can't pay what we're owed. However, Motorsport Games paid it all, and there's nothing owed to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Confusing.
See,
I was going to say,
Sorry.
this is the reason why I don't get involved in business decisions and just live in the driver's seat of it. It's just like, cool. What's that mean?
That's a brief synopsis there. Anyway,
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah. Exactly.
See, Tom, we
Life's
don't
too
have to
short.
pad for time. The tangents that we take pad
Yeah, it's all
the
my
time
fault.
themselves. No
Oh,
worries.
believe me, it's not your fault. We do exactly the same. It doesn't matter who's on.
As I
This is
said,
the thing,
we've
though,
talked
is that-
about Tex and Jazz here, even so.
Yeah, in reference to that and our pre-podcast conversation, this is what's called the Texas goodbye.
It never happens. But yeah.
In any case,
thank you for joining us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very
Tom.
much
It
for
has
this
been a pleasure.
conversation. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to be on the esteemed RomRom channel. Thank you very much for having me. I'm sorry it was an extra long episode, but
Oh no, don't be sorry.
Talking about
Like,
sim racing, it's hard to stop, you know.
if it would be up to me, we'd have a podcast 24 hours.
But see you in person in Dortmund soon.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
Not
we
not
can
even 2
continue
weeks.
these conversations in the SRE podcast or just on the shop floor.
Not even
Absolutely.
My
2
international
weeks.
flight is booked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Rooms
all
are
going to be
booked.
there,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
in for
we're
a
all
treat.
going to be there.
Fantastic.
We're all going to be there.
I'm carpooling
picking
with
up
Ike.
Cody. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm picking Cody up from Heathrow and driving to Dortmund. Because screw dealing with German trains again.
I agree.
I have
And
the
to be
same opinion. I've never got a train in Germany that's been on time.
Yep. In
It's
fairness,
really funny,
screw
though.
dealing with airports.
Oh, it's been okay for me so far.
I just don't like
This
them.
time- We are getting a ferry and driving. So let's see.
You're getting a ferry.
Yeah, because we have to carry 2 cars with the stand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have to drive across from the
that's
UK
fine.
to get a ferry overnight from Newcastle to somewhere in the Netherlands, and
Yes.
then drive from
Yeah,
there
yeah.
to Dortmund.
We're going.
Anyway, you
we're
don't
going
need to know this. That's not.
No,
for
no,
one.
we're going on a shuttle. So we'll meet you there.
Oh, enjoy.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done the journey 6 times now.
Oh wow.
But if you ever need a lift to one of the sim racing expos, I'm probably on the way past you.
Good to know.
In any case, to our listeners and viewers, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, which is gonna be the Sim Racing Expo podcast. And until next time, save fuel, collect pickup, and we'll see each other at the podium. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.